you so much, and some great insights there, but as usual from you, some great ideas in terms of ways forward. So thank you very much. So for anyone who's just joined this live stream, you're watching Melbourne Conversations, City of the Future. I'm the Lord Mayor Sally Capp. We just heard from Felicia Mariani, and we are now going to hear from Dr. Adam Bumpus, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of the sustainable energy company called RedGrid. Adam, over to you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It's really exciting to be here. And I think, your opening comments are absolutely right. COVID is here, it's back again. We're experiencing lockdown. We're wrapping up warm in our houses as winter comes. But we're starting to see that this thing is it's really here to stay, and it's going to come back and forth as we go forward in the future. And equity and justice are the issues that are really being highlighted. And it is an opportunity for us to reset and to write this new rule book. And in many ways, one of the things we're looking at, of course, is energy and how we need to rewrite the rule book for energy to bring people's equity and to bring justice forward. There's a couple of fundamentals here that I wanted to go through before we break out into our breakout rooms. And the first ones are that the future is electric. We have to have an electric future because we have to get to net zero emissions, ideally by 2030, to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. If we don't strive for that goal of net zero by 2030, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, and we need to make sure we're doing that. And the only way to do that is through a number of different programs, including renewable energy. And why renewables? Well, because they're renewable, they don't run out. So we've got to have this generation capacity, but we also need to make sure that everyone has access to it, that everyone has access to the clean, affordable energy that everyone deserves. And right now, to get our productive energy, productive economies really going again, we've got to shift the system so it does support small, medium, and large businesses and enable this clean energy to drive our economies forward. Right now, the system and the way it's connected doesn't support people, and it doesn't support the planet. So what do we have right now? Well, during COVID, there's been some really interesting things in the energy market. So for example, in the wholesale energy market, it dropped by about 50% because there was such a lack of demand from industry, because industrial demand went down. Yet at the same time, our household bills were going up. We're working from home more, and small businesses struggle to keep afloat. So there's this mismatch that's happening in this market that doesn't make sense. Not when we have the highest penetration of solar rooftop in the world. So when we look at this from a household's point of view, energy poverty for some households is very, very real. More people die from cold temperatures in Sydney than they do in Sweden. And that's mainly because of poor building standards, but it's also because of energy poverty. And in fact, 1 in 5 renters on very low incomes cannot afford to keep their home warm in winter. So energy affordability, energy efficiency, and the things that enable us to do the things we love every day are absolutely critical. So how can we change this? Well, we've also seen something else emerge from COVID, and that is the rekindling of the value of local communities, of the workforces that keep the really important things in life working: education, healthcare, connection. Our neighborhoods suddenly become very important again. And where we are is, and what we do in those local neighborhoods grows, so does the importance of local energy and a local energy system. So how can we overcome the challenges that we've got in the current energy system and create a connected clean energy community? Well, we think it's through reciprocal altruism, which is kind of another way of saying just helping each other out. And we think that technology can really help do that. Fundamentally, it's a different kind of market. It's not a market where it goes to the highest bidder. It's a market where it goes to the highest productivity, to the people who really need it the most. And no one really cares about energy itself. Like, we're an energy company, but we don't really care about energy. We care about the things that energy can do. That's what's important. And so we have this opportunity here to rejuvenate our towns and to rejuvenate our cities, thinking through this as maybe productive energy precincts and thinking about, well, what can we all do in this certain specific space? Much like Felicia was talking about in terms of creativity and reigniting what businesses can do. We see that affordable, clean energy that is locally produced, shared, and stored enables us to do that. It's not about being off the grid. It's about being connected to the grid, but not dependent on it the whole time. And we see these amazing opportunities for these productive precincts to be built from the ground up, device by device, each device talking to each other, understanding each other, and enabling what we call the Internet of Energy to build up and build productivity on top of it. So this kind of helping each other out looks a little bit like, well, if I want to use more energy today, maybe my neighbor says, that's fine, I'll use a little less. And then tomorrow I need to use a little less because my neighbor wants to use a little more. And all of the machines balancing this out. We see this as kind of a lending, a mutual credit system between machines in people's houses, so that we start to use the renewable energy we have even better. And what happens is kind of like buying a round at the pub or taking your neighbor's kids to school and you take your kids to school, you help each other out. And what that does, and we've been doing it since the human race began, it just gives us more effectivity, it gives us more efficiency. It enables us to have a closer knit community. So we talk about technology, it's actually technology and a mindset, and it's a mindset that enables a technology. And we've all learned to deal with a whole host of new technologies during COVID and new mindsets on how to connect with each other. And there's going to be a raft of new and existing technologies in the city as we go forward. And new technology can be daunting, and it can also take a long time to change, but sometimes it changes really quickly. So this here is a picture of Fifth Avenue in New York in 1900. And I'd like you to spot the car when I move my head. There it is, that's the car. That's the only car on that street. The rest are horse-drawn carriages. Fast forward 11 years, and then we have the only horse that's on the street and the rest are cars. This changed in 11 years. And it's not about cars. It's about what those cars enabled. New economic productivity, new imaginations for what people could do with their time. And this is where we see energy going in the future. Australia has enough wind and solar capability, if we harnessed all of it, to power the entire world for 10 years. We have the generation. Now we need to connect it. And with a fundamental reworking and prioritizing productive use, equity, local communities, businesses can build themselves on top of this clean, affordable technology, clean, affordable, clean energy. And the next 10 years, therefore, will be a really exciting time. Indeed, this really can be the new extraordinary, and clean energy will actually be central to it. I'm really excited to have this discussion. Thanks for having us.